Ibrahim Rasool, South Africa's former ambassador to the US, is traveling to Pretoria today where he'll hand over a report to President Cyril Ramaphosa. This details the circumstances surrounding his expulsion from the US by the Trump administration. You remember he landed in Cape Town yesterday to what people are calling a hero's welcome. He was expelled for comments he made about the Trump administration. And when he landed yesterday, they asked him about it. He says he has no regrets. He still stands by his comments. And that diplomatically, this administration, the Trump administration, should be dealt with.
Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by, supporting your girl on this channel. So all credits goes to the creators in these videos. And in today's video,
South Africa's ambassador to the United States, Ibrahim Rasool, has been ejected by that country, or at least we think he's been ejected. That country's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, tweeted, because that's the way to make decisions these days, that Rasool was no longer welcome in that country and that he was persona non grata for being a race baiter. Rasool's great son, speaking to the Mapungubwe Institute, Mistra, here in South Africa, about the global moment we're experiencing right now and saying that Trump was leading a white supremacist movement. I mean, he's not wrong. He tweeted earlier this year he would not be coming to the G20 that is due to be hosted in Johannesburg later this year because South Africa is doing, wait for it, very bad things. Apparently those very bad things we're doing are the themes of the G20, which is solidarity, equality, and sustainability. Who is Marco Rubio and why is he so obsessed with knocking South Africa? Well, here's my theory. Marco Rubio is not your typical Republican. His parents and his grandparents were from Cuba and not necessarily legal immigrants either. Some of them were deported. Rubio ran for US president back in 2016 against Donald Trump and was very, very critical of Trump. But like so many others now under Trump's cult leadership, like J.D. Vance and Elon Musk, he had an about turn and now spends his time praising Trump's most egregious decisions, including his actions against Ukraine, which Rubio was a firm, staunch supporter of before he joined Trump's camp. So why is Marco Rubio so obsessed with South Africa? I wonder if Marco Rubio, who is Secretary of State, and just to clarify, Secretary of State is kind of their top diplomat. He's responsible for all their foreign affairs, for all their diplomats, for all their foreign policy across the world. And I think this man's conscience is torturing him. When Donald Trump instructed Marco Rubio to withdraw US aid overnight, early on in this administration, federal workers sat Rubio down and told him, if you do this in the way you're planning on doing it, 1 million children who are being treated for severe malnutrition will be at risk. 166,000 people will certainly die from malaria and 200,000 children will be paralyzed by polio. Those numbers don't even touch on what the impact was on HIV. This man has over 1 million lives on his conscience, potentially. So I think he is hitting down because he is under such pressure and we're a convenient target. And because, as one reporter in the New York Times put it, South Africa is DEI personified. And for them, South Africa stands for those very values: diversity, equity, and inclusion, solidarity, equality, sustainability. They hate us for standing for those things which they despise, those humane values that make us who we are as a civilization. So I think he's attacking us because he knows deep down that he's going to go down in the history books as the villain.
So I'm sure we all know the story by now based on the video. He was expelled. The South African ambassador was expelled from the US because he criticized the MAGA movement during a webinar, right? So this expulsion, it occurred right in the midst of tensions, already escalating tensions between US and South Africa, because as we all know, the Trump administration has previously cut financial aid, right, to South Africa because they said they have disagreements over land expropriation policies, South African genocide case against Israel, this and that. Now, additionally, the US considered imposing targeted sanctions against South African politicians linked to corruption or policies that they feel doesn't go with the US interests, right? So this man, because of what they feel, right? They feel he shouldn't have done or he shouldn't have said, right? Because of the remarks he made where he criticized MAGA movements, he was labeled a race-baiting politician that hates America.
Trump administration says South African ambassador has to leave the U.S. by Friday. Washington AP. The State Department says South Africa's ambassador to the United States, who was declared persona non grata last week, has until Friday to leave the country, after Secretary of State Marco Rubio determined that Ambassador Ebrahim Rasool was no longer welcome in the U.S., and posted his decision Friday on social media. South African embassy staff were summoned to the State Department and given a formal diplomatic note explaining the decision. The department said, "We made the embassy aware that Ambassador Rasool has been found unacceptable by the United States to be a representative of his country," the State Department said. It said Rasool's diplomatic privileges and immunities expired Monday, that he would be required to leave the United States by Friday. South African Foreign Ministry spokesperson Crispin Fury said in a television interview on Monday that Rasool was still in the U.S. but would be leaving as soon as possible. Rubio announced his decision in a post on X as he was flying back to the United States from a group of 7 foreign ministers meeting in Canada. In it, he accused Rasool of being a race-baiting politician who hates President Donald Trump. His post linked to a story by the conservative Breitbart news site about a talk Rasool gave earlier Friday in Johannesburg as part of a South African think tank's webinar. Rasool, speaking by video conference, talked about actions taken by the Trump administration in the context of a United States where white people soon would no longer be in the majority. It is highly unusual for the U.S. to expel a foreign ambassador, although lower-ranking diplomats are more frequently targeted with persona non grata status. Rubio's decision was the latest Trump administration move targeting South Africa. Trump signed an executive order last month halting funding to the country. It criticized the black-led South African government on multiple fronts, saying it is pursuing anti-white policies at home and supporting bad actors in the world like the Palestinian militant group Hamas and Iran. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa told reporters on Monday that Rasool would give him a report when he returned home. Ramaphosa said his government has noted the displeasure that has been expressed by the United States, and particularly about Rasool's remarks, but stressed that he believes South Africa was in the process of rebuilding its relationship with the U.S. This is a hiccup we are working on straightening out, he said. "We will engage with the United States of America in a formal way," Ramaphosa said. "We will do so with deep respect for them and for President Trump as well. Our relationship with the United States is going to be put on an even keel, so I would like the people of South Africa not to have sleepless nights."
Rashida and I have just traveled about 32 hours from the United States via Doha to Cape Town. It was not our choice to come home, but we come home with no regrets. I want to say that we would have liked to come back with a welcome like this if we could report to you that we had turned away the lies of a white genocide in South Africa, but we did not succeed in America with that. We would have preferred to come here to say that we have won for you a goer, but we could not win it by withdrawing our case from the International Court of Justice against Israel, because as we stand here, the bombing has continued and the shooting has continued, and if South Africa was not in the ICJ, Israel would not be exposed and the Palestinians would have no hope. Yes. We would have preferred to come here and say that we have won for you trade deals and that we have been able to secure for us trade deals, but we could not do so by allowing the US to choose who must be our friends and who must be our enemies. So we don't come here to say that we are anti-American or that we have no need for America or that we don't have ties with America. We come here even after being declared persona non grata. We still come here and say we must rebuild and we must reset the relationship with America.
The Trump administration expels the South African ambassador for critiquing Trump's policies. We're in a whole new era. Diplomatic immunity, out. If you're a student and protest somebody that they don't think you should protest, you're out. If you're a diplomat and you critique some very clear policies preferring white people, particularly white people in your country, like South Africa, where the Afrikaners ruled by white supremacy, and then the Trump administration is courting them. So naming that has now led to Ibrahim Rasool to get expelled. He has a very important history in South Africa. I have deep concerns around what this means in terms of the types of pressure that our government will do. Just reminds me of the 80s, right? Like, America was one of the few countries that was one of the last countries that supported the apartheid regime. So what is our extension, right, that's going on? Deep concerns around U.S. foreign policy, our diplomacy with South Africa, and our concerns around our kinfolks who are being exploited in Africa. And also, when they start with students, green card holders, and now diplomats, what is that going to mean for the regular folks like myself who are anti-racist?
So, guys, what do you think in the comment section? Do you agree about this decision that the Trump administration made concerning the ambassador, or you disagree, right? Let me know in the comment section, because based on all the trade brouhaha that's been happening on the ground, the US that has already cut financial aid to South Africa, this just makes the tension more, right? So US investments might decline, especially in sectors like energy, tech, and all of that. And even this can even put pressure on the rand, yeah, their currency, because it's a cause loss of aid, reduced investment, slower exports, trade diversion and realignment. Even for the United States, it can cause geopolitical backlash, right? Agricultural trade impacts and all of that. And the sectors that might be affected most might be agricultural sector, trade and manufacturing, tech, and even tourism, right? South Africa would definitely see a drop in American tourists, and it can cause a odds in the sector that they're already struggling with for global economic pressures. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys, because the list just goes on and on and on and on and on, right? It's always one thing or the other. United States. All right. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to stay safe. Ciao.